Hey guys, this is Brittany with Rockstar Fitness, and today I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about cheat meals. Basically, what a cheat meal is, how to use it the right way, and to find out if it's right for you. So basically, once you've put together your diet, it consists of the ideal amounts of everything that you should be getting to meet your goals, whether it's losing fat or building muscle or being healthy. There's still one lingering issue, and that's all those foods that you shouldn't be eating. And I know that you know what I'm talking about. It's all those wonderfully tasty, amazingly delicious foods that is some kind of combination of junky, unhealthy, sugary, just nutritionally useless. Um, so these are the foods that you're supposed to avoid or at least greatly limit from your daily diet. But deep down, you probably wish that you could be eating them all day long. Um, and I'm sure you have a couple of them in your mind right now. Um, and I'll be honest, that just makes you pretty normal. The thing most people hate about eating right is that they have to limit or completely avoid the foods that they love. But I want you to know that you don't have to eat less, you just have to eat right. So this brings up some interesting questions. Like, do I ever get to eat those kinds of foods again? When? How often? How much can I eat? Will it screw up my diet? Will it prevent me from reaching my goals? So this brings us to a part of your diet that you're probably going to like. It's not cheating on your diet. It's enjoying an indulgence meal as part of a healthy lifestyle. So what's the point of a cheat meal? It's all about helping you stick to your diet. The most common reason people fail to reach their goals or maybe can't maintain it afterwards is because they stop eating the way they need to be eating. So why does that happen? Well, because losing fat and preventing fat gain or just being healthy in general requires a certain amount of restriction from the bad foods that we all love to eat. And everybody hates that. So what often ends up happening is that people feel deprived and they get angry and annoyed because they miss eating the foods that they love. And so what happens? They go off their diet and they start eating them. And if you deprive someone of something that they crave, especially if they're constantly surrounded by it, eventually they're going to give into it. And that's why diets fail. Those bad junky foods are around us constantly. But that's where a cheat meal is designed to help you. Instead of depriving you of your favorite foods for the rest of your life, what if you regularly planned out instances in advance where you allow yourself to eat those foods guilt-free? So instead of torturing yourself until you reach your diet's breaking point, you allow yourself to occasionally give in to your cravings and therefore prevent that breaking point from ever being reached. So that's what a cheat meal is. It's a small planned break in your regularly scheduled diet to serve as a purpose to keep you sane and happy. And since you planned for it, there's no guilt involved. It was supposed to happen. So by allowing yourself to eat the foods that you love in this controlled fashion, the chances of a short-term and long-term diet adherence increase significantly. And that right there is the purpose of a cheat meal. But will it hurt my diet, my body, my progress? As long as it's done properly, the answer is no. A properly done cheat meal will not directly hurt your diet, your body, or your progress. So think about it. If you're eating the right way 95% of the time, do you really think that that other 5% is going to make a real significant difference in the grand scheme of it? Trust me, it won't. And that means eating some of those less than ideal, junky, unhealthy, useless foods that you love from time to time will not directly hurt your ability to lose fat, build muscle, or accomplish, whatever goal you have in mind, as long as it's done right. So you're probably expecting a bunch of specific guidelines, something about how a cheat meal can only contain X amount of this or X amount of that, or this type of food's okay, but none of that, and so on and so on. Well, the thing is, if I set a bunch of guidelines, that are specific, is it really going to be a cheat meal anymore? No. So for that reason, there's only general guidelines. And I also actually prefer the term a free meal versus a cheat meal. Because using the term cheat meal gives you the feeling that you're doing something bad, something wrong, and it leaves you to feel guilty. This isn't the case. A free meal is the true better term for it. It's literally meant for a chance for you to be free. It gives you that mental break, that dietary break. You remove all those restrictions and guidelines, and you're allowed to eat something without feeling guilty about it. But the general guidelines is 1, don't go crazy with it, and 2, don't do it too often. So if you do it right, there's still some amount of moderation and control still intact. It's your chance to eat something that you normally wouldn't be allowed to eat, but that doesn't mean you can go insane and try and get some kind of eating record. You still have to have some amount of sanity to some degree. What I mean is have a few cookies, not the entire batch. Have a slice or 2 of pizza, not the whole pie. Have a bowl of ice cream, not the whole container. So this is where people go wrong with cheat meals. They throw all sanity out the window and they just go crazy. That can't happen. Remember what I said about it being done properly? It won't directly hurt your progress? That's because a cheat meal done right isn't so insanely large that it has a direct negative impact. So while you definitely do not need to measure exact servings and count precise calories, you still have to use some common sense and judgment to not go completely overboard. So basically, don't turn a cheat meal into a crazy meal. Now, the frequency. You can't do it too often. Now, it's hard to measure the exact frequency. It really doesn't exist. If you want to really get technical about it, it would be based on, the person and the type of cheat meal that's going to be eaten. But for most people, I would suggest 1 or 2 cheat meals as the maximum. Now, for some people, that may seem fine. Others, that's way too much. And others be like, that's not even possible. Well, for those of you that think it's not possible, that's too bad. Because remember what I said about properly done cheat meals wouldn't directly hurt your diet or your progress? That's because it has to be done right. You can't have a cheat meal every single day. And then the last thing I want to talk about is it right for you? The answer may seem like an obvious yes for everyone. But if we go back to my words of direct and directly, the reason I keep using them is because it is possible to for a properly used cheat meal to have an indirect negative impact on you. And is what I mean by that, we've got to figure out what type of person you are. And I believe that there are 3 types of people. Person number 1, their diet will be ruined by a cheat meal. So these are the people who lack some amount of control, willpower, whatever it is that allows you to follow the 2 cheat meal guideline. Not going too crazy and not doing it too often. So those are the people that won't be able to use it in the semi-controlled, infrequent way that it's meant to be done. For those people, a cheat meal turns into a cheat day, and a cheat day turns into a cheat week. For those people, getting a chance to eat the free foods that they love only sparks their desire for more. So they get to the point where they stray too far from their proper diet and eventually fall off altogether. In this case, a cheat meal does more harm than good. And it will directly and definitely hurt that person's diet. It'll just be ruined altogether. So if this sounds like you, then I would stay away from cheat meals. If they can't be used in moderation, then the best thing for you to do is to not eat them at all. The second type of person is the person who can be saved by it. So these are the people who can follow the guidelines and use them properly. Um, and in many cases, these are the people who will never stick to their diet consistently if it means they have to completely give up something that they love. These are the people that need to be allowed to indulge from time to time in order for their diet to work long term. These are the people who need to know they can and will regularly get a chance to eat something that won't normally be a part of their diet. If they couldn't, it would drive them nuts, and they would most likely force them to go off their diet too much, and often, they end up on the downfall. So in this case, their diet's saved by the use of the cheat meals because they have that image in their mind. Yes, on Friday night, I get my cheat meal. I can have dessert on Friday night. I can make it through the whole week, but on Friday night, I can have my cheat meal. So if that sounds like you, then yes, by all means, use the cheat meal. And then there's person number 3 who it really doesn't matter either way. And this group is very small. Most people are either group 1 or group 2. Group 3, cheat meals wouldn't ruin your diet, but cheat meals wouldn't necessarily save your diet either. They're perfectly happy sticking to their proper diet the majority of the time and not using them, maybe only special occasions, holidays, birthdays. So is a cheat meal right for you? Well, if you're in group number 1, I'd say no. Stay away from them. If you're in group number 2, then yes, by all means, make sure you schedule those cheat meals in regularly. And if you're in group number 3, well, it's up to you. It's your own personal preference. So if you think you're in group 1 or 2 or 3 now, and then find out that maybe you're not really in that group, then be smart enough to make the switch to the group so that you can truly benefit from being in it. So whatever you end up doing as a result, using or avoiding cheat meals, it's the right decision for you, and it's the long-term success of your diet. So just really think about what group you think you belong in, and for a week or 2, really follow those guidelines if you are in the cheat group, or stay away from them completely for 2 weeks, and then evaluate and see what you need to do to change to see if it's working for you or not. So I think cheat meals really make you feel empowered that you can make those healthy choices, that you aren't deprived from the junk foods. So I just hope that you have a great day and take these guidelines into consideration.